Hi everyone, Dr. Phelps-Ward here. This is your crash course on worldviews, paradigms, and ways of knowing, also known as epistemology. This presentation is the brainchild of myself and Dr. Jeff Kinney, an Equity and Diversity Administrator at Oregon State University. So why is it important that we understand worldviews? In the text Student Development in College, Theory, Research, and Practice, Patton et al. Explain that higher education and student affairs educators who understand multiple underlying philosophical tenets are in a better position to use, critique, and create theories, as well as work across campus units with educators, faculty, and administrators whose worldviews differ from their own. Thus, we are more able to collaborate, problem solve, and support students together when we understand how those with whom we work view the world. To help us have fun as we explore worldviews, I've invited a good friend of mine whose persona I will take on as we move into this crash course. Just pretend that I sound like her. Hi, I'm Megan Thee Stallion, aka Hot Girl Meg, aka Tina Snow. I'm here to guide you through a crash course of epistemological perspectives, with the help of a few good friends who happen to be philosophers. So let's get started. As you may know, I am an award-winning top chart rap and hip hop star, essentially kind of a big deal. In spite of all my successes, some still question the legitimacy of my art. It leaves me wondering, how can I know if my music is any good? Let's hear what a few philosophers have to say from their perspectives and ways of knowing. First, we have Sir Karl Popper, a post-positivist who might say, while never being truly certain, with strong enough tests and evidence, we could reasonably conclude the goodness of Meg's music. Essentially, a post-positivist believes knowledge and truth are discerned from what we can observe objectively. Next, we have over here Edmund Husserl, an interpretivist and a constructivist who might say the goodness of Meg's music cannot be separated from the listener, as the knower and what is known are intimately linked. An investigation of goodness concerns the meaning individuals and communities attach to Meg's music. Thus, they might say knowledge and truth are tied to the multiple realities people construct in interaction with each other. Next, we have John Dewey, a pragmatist who might say preceding the question of Meg's goodness is to what end questioning Meg's music will better society. It may be more appropriate to discern whether Meg's music brings joy to its listeners. Essentially, pragmatist thinking knowledge is true and valuable only if it is useful to society. Next, we have Michel Foucault, someone who informed post-structuralism and might say the goodness of Meg's music does not really exist. How can we deconstruct and reconstruct goodness in ways that resist our subjugation? Post-structuralists believing what we count as knowledge should be deconstructed for our liberation. Next, we have Paolo Freire, a critical theorist who might say, to what end will an examination of the goodness of Meg's music help us understand and dismantle oppressive systems? Further, how have these systems shaped our understanding of goodness? Critical theorists believe all claims about knowledge are bound up in power and systems of oppression. Next, we have Jacques Derrida, someone who informed greatly queer theory and might say, in exploring the goodness of Meg's music, we should examine how power structures unfold and reinforce ideas of gender and sexual normativity within identities. Thus, they believe claims about knowledge are tied to notions of gender and sexual normativity. Let's keep looking. Next, we have Kimberlé Crenshaw, an intersectionality perspective, someone with intersectionality perspective who might say the goodness of Meg's music can only be determined once we examine the intersections of sexism, racism, classism, and homophobia at work within the music industry. Essentially, intersectional theorists thinking intersecting systems of oppression shape our identities, our reality, and what we know. Next, we have Robert McRuer, a crip theorist who says, essentially, how does Meg's music help people resist dominant conceptions of able-bodiedness and able-mindedness? Thus, all claims about knowledge are tied to notions of able-bodiedness and able-mindedness. Next, we have Frantz Fanon, A post-colonialist who might say, Meg's music can only be good if it helps us see the influence of European colonialism and Euro-American imperialism at work in societies around the world. Essentially, they believe all claims about knowledge are bound up in colonialism and cultural imperialism. Next, we have Patricia Hill Collins, a Black feminist who might say, Black women's understandings of goodness are shaped by their experiences and angles of vision, which are shaped by forces of racism, sexism, classism, and homophobia in society. Essentially, Black feminists believe Black women are knowers and ways of knowing are shaped by intersecting systems of oppression. Here we have Grace Lee Boggs, a feminist who might say the goodness of Meg's music is evident through its ability to expose gender power relations and center women. Essentially, feminists believe claims about knowledge are tied to gender power dynamics. I think I understand now. Essentially, epistemology is your beliefs about knowledge and what can be known and how these beliefs inform your approach and your way of viewing the world. Which perspectives resonate most with you and why? That's the end of our crash course. Mwah. Let's spend some time learning more about how you view knowledge. This quiz, which I found online at proprofsquizzes.com, asks a series of 7 questions to help you discern where you might exist within your own epistemological perspective. This is not a perfect quiz, and your results will place you in 3 categories: positivist, post-positivist, and subjectivist, which is aligned with interpretivist and constructivist. These are not the same 11 worldviews we discussed, but they will give you an idea of where you might align. I've also shared here a handout of influential paradigms that have informed student development theory, outlining the beliefs, the theorists within our field, and questions they might ask or things they might say. Additionally, I've offered a case of differing worldviews to help you see how these perspectives might interact with each other in a setting in college and student affairs. Rita, Kennedy, and Aiden are meeting to plan Unity Week for a university, a large public, predominantly white institution in the Midwest. Unity Week is a set of events put on by the Multicultural Center to challenge perspectives on matters of diversity, inclusivity, and solidarity to improve the campus climate. The events include the following: queer monologues, a theatrical performance, a tunnel of oppression, us film showing, a leadership and diversity conference, and a talent show. Rita begins the conversation explaining that the 3 of them need to decide how to assess students' development through Unity Week programming. Thus, based on your knowledge of worldviews and paradigms, how might this conversation progress based on their worldviews? Rita is the director of the Multicultural Center and Post-Positivist. Kennedy is the Multicultural Center Assistant Director and Black feminist. And Aiden is Student Affairs Graduate Assistant for the Center, a post-structuralist. So how might they engage with each other in their effort to assess students' development for Unity Week programming? This gives you a snapshot of how it might be like to engage with people who don't share the same worldview of you as you, but you are charged with collaborating to meet students' needs. Hopefully, this presentation gave you an overview of the epistemological perspectives, worldviews, and paradigms that exist and have informed our work in higher education and student affairs and student development theory over time. Thanks for watching.